What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another Tuffy Talk live show. We are excited and you know what? Feeling ready to go, feeling, up about some things, down about some things, but we'll get into all of that here in just a second here. But if you've been with us before, you know the drill. Make sure any questions, comments, concerns, get them in the chat, and we will get to all of them here today. But first of all, just thank you all so much for tuning in here with us. Really do appreciate it. I always look forward to this every single week. So Greg, I got to ask you, man, what are you more excited about right now? The start of the Pac-9 season or how red hot women's basketball is right now?
Man, that's not fair.
Hey, that's why they pay you the big bucks, man. What do you mean?
Still waiting for the check to clear. Man, I know I hate you right now.
It's a no loss situation,
Yeah, I'm ready for baseball.
Yep.
It's wonderful to see what the women have been doing, the streak that they're on, with regards to the conference wins in the ACC. But I'm ready for baseball. Though I will be having a very busy week this week with women's basketball on Thursday, baseball on Friday, wrestling on Friday. And then depending on what the weather situation turns out for Saturday, and I may be doing either baseball or basketball, and then Sunday hopefully the weather is good, so baseball again. So I'm just excited for NC State sports, and I have getting my full money's worth this week.
No kidding. So let us know in the chat, y'all, what you're most excited about right now. But yeah, for me right now, let's put it this way. I feel like I got to enjoy what I know right now more than speculate what I know, which because obviously we've been burnt once or twice here, Greg, on speculation here, right? So
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I told Michael the other night on text, we were texting back and forth, and I said, that's it. I am not making any more predictions. I am, I'm out of that business. I'm just here to have a good time, and hopefully everyone has a good time. Because football and basketball, like we had, as they like to say in the stock market, we were very bullish on both of those squads, and it just hasn't worked out for us.
Yep. No, I know it's oh man, yeah, it's been a really tough athletic season for sure in 2024, 2025, no doubt about it. But again, hopefully it ends, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, right? And there's definitely some things between gymnastics, softball, tennis, baseball, women's basketball that we could really finish off things really looking good here from the athletic standpoint. But got Rusty in here saying we all know But I'm amazed every game how Wes makes in-game adjustments. He's a master at this. We are beyond fortunate to have him. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just there's and we'll get to it here in a tweet of the week here in a minute. But there's a reason why Wes Moore's name starts with a W. Like, I mean, it's all he knows. And listen, I mean, we've said it 100,000 times over and over again, and we'll continue to say it, no doubt about it. But Debbie Yao will go down as one of the best things to ever happen to NC State, and Wes Moore is one example of why that statement is 100% true. That I mean, she knew that Kay Yao's basketball program needs to be one of the top women's basketball programs in the country, and she found the exact right person to do it in Wes Moore, somebody who was connected to Kay Yao, somebody who knows what that means, who takes NC State being successful not just as a job, but personal, like that it means something to him, and that he's going to leave a legacy that's not just his, but is K.L.'s too. And so I just that's honestly the biggest thing, which I love, is it's not like we have like a Gene or Emma who are like, if he came to NC State, let's say, I mean, that would never happen in a million years, but let's say he came to NC State, like, and he more likely would be successful here. Like, it wouldn't quite mean the same, in my opinion, because of the fact that Wes Moore takes it so personally.
The
While
lineage.
somebody like Gene, the lineage, exactly. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, there's no, like, we've interviewed so many different women's basketball players, Greg. I know you've talked to so many players, even current, who say like he's there's a lot of times that he'll sleep in his office, just like watching film, preparing for games. But even too, like in practice, how he'll be on your butt if you're 6 inches off of where you're supposed to be, when practicing plays or practicing defense, whatever that may be.
Yep.
And you see that in the preparation of these girls, and the fact that it's really tough to point out different times where our team is not prepared, or is not ready to play. Now, are there times? Sure, but it's not because Wes Moore didn't put his best foot forward. It's just that game of basketball, sometimes just the ball is just not going in the hoop, and so yeah, no, I can't say enough good things about Wes Moore, and don't know how many more years we have left of Wes Moore, but I can't say enough to NC State fans to enjoy every single minute that we got. Because the Wes Moores don't grow on trees every day, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, we always talk about you never want to be the coach after the most successful coach in history, right? And so you had Kelly Harper in here, and it was a struggle. The program wasn't where it needed to be, and I'll just leave it at that. And Debbie goes out and hires Wes Moore, who, look, to your point, he was part of the Kay Yao coaching tree. He was an assistant under Kay, and then he was at Tennessee Chattanooga. And you look at it, and you're like, I mean, they just got a guy from Tennessee Chattanooga. Like, feels like that doesn't get to move the needle. And then all he does is come in here, instills what Kay had started, and it's just taking the program to newer heights. You kind of mentioned, like, he'll get on you for, being 6 inches off your spot. And I remember, when we had, I believe that was Ace, I think was the one that had said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, look, he'll coach you hard, but he'll love you harder. There's nothing like, you never hear former players saying anything bad about Coach Moore. He's just a class act all around, teaches his players to do the right thing. He's very gracious with his time to the fans. Like, he's who you want in your leading one of your sports programs.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I think you've seen a lot with this season where, is there one more kind of small plead, which I'm gonna throw out there to Wes Moore here in a minute? Sure, 100%. But I mean, definitely with how the season started compared to how it is right now, you got to tip your cap a lot to Wes Moore, and the fact that I think that maybe another coach could have really put a lot of eggs into the Zamaria Jones basket, especially after that South Carolina game. But all right, you know what? We're gonna give Z 20 minutes a game, and we're gonna really go in. When he said, you know what, like let me kind of roll a little bit, let me make some adjustments here with this main four here, and man, has that investment paid off. And
Yeah.
I mean, Madison Hayes. Greg. I've been a huge I've been as big of a Madison Hayes fan as anybody has, and even me myself, about a month ago was like,
You were a critic. You were a critic.
I was a little concerned. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But man, has she really turned it on here as of recent. And
Yeah.
this is the Madison Hayes which I've come to expect. And I
Yeah.
knew that she's always had this in her, but man, like the willingness to go to the basket, shooting the three, being an absolute bulldog on defense, like, oh, just love to see what's going on right now with the starting five.
Yeah, we're giving Coach Moore, it's Valentine's Day week, so we're giving him all of his flowers. But I think you'd be remiss if you don't give the assistant coaches some love too, right? In the spirit
100%.
of Valentine's Day, I think they are just you bring in a couple of transfers, and you think you're going to get this from them, and injuries happened, and you just pivot to Plan C, Plan D, maybe even Plan E. And now you're seeing, like, it's been a work in progress, work in progress. Now we're hitting February. This team has hit its stride. I would love right now to play some of these games that we played earlier in the season, like a TCU and even a Cal. I think
Oh
we're
yeah.
vastly different just from that Cal trip.
Mhm.
I would love to have gotten that game back, but they're clicking on cylinders right now, and so this is where you want to be, and they're moving on up in the AP rankings, as a fact because of that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this remaining schedule here in 1 second, but I do want to jump to the one small plea that I have to Westmore, which this has happened once before, and I just hope that maybe this is going to be finally the time where he pulls the trigger, and you know what, finally just realizes that Tilda Trigger is ready to be a productive asset game in and game out. I truly I'm ready to plant my stake in that, man.
No,
Like, just
you're definitely seeing some of the offense being run through her more, now that
yeah.
she's gotten more comfortable. I felt like
Mhm.
I know the Cal game, she had a really good game. I'm trying to remember who we played right before Cal, because
Yeah.
I think she set her career highs now in like 3 or 4 games. It's like
Mhm.
she'll set it and then break it, set it then break it, and it started, and now, like I said, I think she's on her 3rd version or 4th version of career highs and some things, and she's been a double machine here over the last couple of games. And again, I just think, again, we were talking about the assistant coaches. It's just those coaches have been working with her and the other bigs, just to try to figure out what they had and just get her acclimated and just let her figure it out. And that's the one thing I think that Coach Moore does is, and I think he does it a little bit differently than Coach Keats in that regard, where he'll work through some bumps and bruises with some of his players. I don't feel like he always gets the quick hook on folks. So
Yep.
again, different styles, different strokes for different folks. I get that, but I just think that's one of the things that he does well, that he has a lot of trust in his players, and that, they'll figure it out. And it is a little different with the women because they are, a more veteran oriented team, whereas the men are, there's a couple of positions where we're veteran, but for the most part, it just doesn't feel that way.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, so the game you're talking about, you were right, is Cal. She
Yeah.
had 19 points, 10 rebounds. She was 4 from 7 from 3 in
Yeah.
that game. And that's what I'm saying. Like if I really do look at Tilda, and I know that, I'm gonna sound like Chuck Amato when he was comparing Daniel Evans to Philip Rivers here a little bit. It's like, all right, easy now. Yeah, yeah, it looks like Philip Rivers out there, man. I'm like, whoa, easy there,
Yeah.
Chuck.
Slow down.
But I mean, like, with Tilda, like, I just can't help but look at Tilda and how she's a freshman, and look at her build, look at her post moves, look at the fact she can shoot the three.
Yeah.
She had 3 blocks against FSU. I'm sitting here saying, I mean, you could develop her into a Lisa Cunane, lights, and maybe then some. Like,
Yeah, I called her a poor man's version, or poor
yeah,
woman's version. But that's only because she's a freshman.
yeah,
Like, I feel like, to your point, with another 2-3 years of development, you can see the framework is there. Like, you can see the
yeah,
skill sets are there. And by the way Wes runs his offense, like she's going to be an integral part of this offense for the
Yep.
foreseeable future.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, because I think that after the Duke game, that there was definitely a lot of a lot of fire for sure behind Lorena Wu for sure. But again, just the biggest issue in my opinion by far is free throws with her. Just like
Yeah.
definitely not, I mean definitely I'm not saying that, like, I think that she is going to be a great part, but I think that she is a little bit further behind in terms of her development than
Yeah.
Tilda is right
Well,
now.
in fairness to her, like she's only started playing basketball in high school, right? So she's
Yep.
only 5 years into basketball, and she's
Hmm.
playing it in arguably the most difficult conference in all of America in the ACC. I think top to bottom, it's a very deep conference,
Absolutely.
and that she's just going to be. I hate to use the word project, but she is, but she's
Hmm.
coming in and giving you valuable moments. That Duke game, I mean, she went off.
She was
She only
huge.
had
Yeah.
8 points, but it felt like she did so much more. She did like such a. What did she end up with rebounds in that game? Like I feel like
4.
she had like okay, I was gonna say 5, um, but it just every time that something critical needed to happen, she was just there making plays, and so you have her to be able to spell trigger, and I think that's going to be a good 1-2 punch. I really do. And then you
Yep.
still have a couple others that that you hope that they're going to blossom at some point, and you haven't given up on them, but it looks like that'll be your 1-2 punch though moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Malik Collier is the other name that kind of obviously rings some bells for you for sure, but
Hmm.
just
Consistency hasn't really been there.
consistency, just like defensively, she doesn't really give you anything.
Yeah, she doesn't move her feet real well.
No, yeah. So, plays a little bit of cinder blocks on her feet at times.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, just that's my thing is I think between Awu, Trigger, and even Maddie Cox, who, really hasn't
struggled a little bit.
shined.
Yeah,
She's been struggling for sure, but I think that, eventually you're going to knock the dust off and finally get her, starting to really shine like she did at points last season for sure. So,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, like, looking at your 5 players in the backcourt, 5 main players between Isaiah, Sanaya, uh, Madison Hayes, Zoe Brooks, and Tamari Jones. But even still, got to give shout out to my girl Lacey Steele for sure. Who definitely I think can fill some minutes if needed for sure. Devin Quigley as well. So I mean, no matter what, your backcourt you're feeling so good about. You don't need that star in the front court, and so that's what I'm saying. If I'm looking at Tilda, I'm saying, like, we're not asking much from you. We're just asking for you to be effective. Just
yeah,
hold down the court.
yeah,
Be a threat enough to bring some pressure down. That's all we need from you, and
yeah.
that's all we've seen.
What you really need from your, at this point, is good defense and get
Yep.
rebounds. Anything on the offensive side is just gravy.
Hmm.
But with that being said, like we've already said, like you're seeing the maturation and the development of these post players, and
Yep.
it, it's happening at the right time. And I'm sure we'll
Hmm.
talk about the schedule because the
Oh yeah.
competition, other than Miami, I think Miami, and then I think we have Wake Forest one more time.
Hmm.
Um,
And SMU.
Oh yeah, we have SMU, and they're
So
they're
so
not
it's actually
really good, but
no,
yeah,
they're 2-9. I think they
yeah,
see. So I
yeah,
mean, it's like, and we'll jump right into it. I mean, really, this schedule is setting up really nice. I mean, in terms of that, not necessarily that's easy, but that, I mean, with how this team has really started to shine, I
yeah,
mean, like, if we want to, compete for, a top 2 or 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have, opportunities.
mhm,
And I mean, you have at UNC, which, hey, that, that's considered, it's going to be
mhm.
considered a really
They're a top
good,
15 team.
or top 15 team, number 12 right now, and is at
Mhm,
UNC.
yep,
But again, I mean, it's there's going to be a lot of red there for sure. But the NCAA tournament committee, all that is gonna see it was an away win if we
yep.
are able to
If
pull
you're able
that
to
off.
hold, yep, yep,
Yep. At number 19 Georgia Tech, who they're number 19, but they have shown some ups and downs for sure.
mhm,
So
mhm,
we'll see what happens there. But then you face number 2 Notre Dame, but it's at Reynolds, which right now we're 14-0 or 13-0 right now in Reynolds this season. So, listen, that game, honestly, in my opinion, you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. Like, I think
Yeah.
Notre Dame's would go in for sure, the favorite. If you lose that game, okay, it stinks, but it's the furthest thing from a backbreaker.
Yeah,
So
the thing with that Notre Dame game is you want to at least keep it close, right? Keep it single
keep it
digits
close.
if you're not able to
Mhm.
win, because
Mhm.
they've been blowing the brakes off of people.
Everybody.
Like holy cow, they just destroyed a top 25 Cal team.
Mhm.
They just destroyed somebody yesterday. The other day, Stanford.
Stanford, yeah,
Yeah,
just
they beat Cal.
crushed them.
Yeah, they beat Cal. I think yesterday or the day before.
They did
Um,
91-52.
yeah,
Holy smokes.
yeah, and they actually they pulled back. Like it wasn't even.
Yeah.
And I thought State could have hung 100 yesterday, to be honest with you, on Florida State, a good Florida State team. And
Mhm.
we really haven't even talked about that game at all. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it because can I do what grinds my gears?
You know what? I figure we could just have like on repeat when we move to this other topic here. But yeah, we
Sure.
can go and jump into it.
You know what really grinds my gears?
How in 2025 does the CW not have streaming services for sports?
Man. Yeah.
Like, do they not know like a large population have cut the cord? It's
Yeah.
insane. Like, how do
Oh
you
yeah.
not have live streaming? It's
Mhm.
insane. Sorry, I'm
Yep.
over. I'm done.
No, heck, no. We'll come back to that here for sure. But I mean, when we move to men's side, it's not even really
No,
grinds
I'm
my gears.
okay with
Just
not
like
having streaming service when the men play on CW. I'm perfectly okay with that. Totally okay.
yep, no, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I listen. First of all, right now you're 2 games ahead of the 5 seed right now for the ACC. So I mean, you're in really good shape. You beat really the 2 big games in terms of seeding are Georgia Tech and Carolina. And I think if you could beat one of them, you're in pretty decent shape to get a top 4 seed, which I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, a couple weeks ago, Greg, that was really our goal. Just give me a
Yeah.
top 4 seed in the tournament, which I think is well within the scopes right now. But I mean,
Yep.
I've really turned
Well,
my
you can't
go
go
ahead.
lay an egg against Miami or SMU. Like those
No.
games
Yep.
still matter, right? So like last year we
100%.
lost to Miami. You know, that was a head scratcher. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
so you still have to go handle business when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah. Nope, absolutely. So, yeah, no, take care of business. But I mean, with how much leadership's on this team, with,
Yep.
hopefully Catilda continues to be productive,
Yep.
which, with the versatility she brings, I definitely see that. So, but again, super, super excited for what this remaining season, what this remaining schedule is going to have. Again, having Miami come to town Thursday night, 6 p.m. AC Network, and then you
6
go
p.m.
to
is such a
Carolina on Sunday.
stupid time.
It's a
Like
terrible time.
for in the middle of the week, it's just a dumb time.
Well, especially it's on the ACC network too, so it's not on ACC network extra. Like, I mean, it's
Right.
basically a premier game, and it's
Yeah, I
6
think
p.m.
they try to squeeze in multiple games, so that's why they put it at 6. But I'm like,
But do 7 and 9 p.m. or something, like not 6 and
I'm
8.
with you. I'm with you.
So
I'm with you.
I don't know, but yeah, but I mean, so again, I mean, this is a big week for women's basketball, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just take care of business with Miami, but then that Carolina game, the one time that you get that you're guaranteed to face UNC of the season, you going to Carmichael,
Yeah.
and where you blew it last year, absolutely blew it. No
Mhm.
reason you should have
I
lost
was
that game
there.
last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
So take care of business.
I will
Take
say
care
on
of
a
business.
side note, like I am enjoying women's basketball this year from a competitive standpoint on the national stage. You're seeing teams that are traditionally um, powerhouses, getting a couple of losses. Normally, your UConns and your South Carolinas, and then
Or
in
just
the
like a
past
tier grown.
Baylor, LSU, Iowa, like
Yep.
like these teams now have like 2, 3, 4 losses, and so
Yeah.
like it does make the tournament that much more interesting when it does get time to be there.
I mean, definitely. I mean, UCLA is only a team that's undefeated right now, 23-0 right now,
Yeah,
has all 31 first place votes, rightfully so. But I
yeah,
mean, yeah, like a UConn, a USC, a South Carolina, a Texas, a Notre
yeah,
Dame, like
yeah,
any one of those teams could easily, give UCLA a run for their money. No
yeah. I
doubt
think
about
so.
it.
Yeah,
So,
USC is really good. They'll play
mhm.
each other. I don't know if they've played each other yet, but That's a really good team. So
Mhm.
I do like now that you're starting to see a little bit more parity in the women's game. It's
Yep.
not just a 1 to 2 horse race. It's a little bit bigger of a field that can make runs to these championship games.
But I'm gonna do a little hype show though. Once again though, for the ACC women's tournament, which they're not paying me to say this, but I've done a few times. But right now there's 6 teams in the ACC that
Mhm.
are in the top 25 right now. 6
Mhm.
teams that are in the top 25, and
Yeah,
there's some teams right out on the outside looking in that I'm like a Louisville. Like
yeah,
even though they're not in top 25, like can't overlook Louisville. They're a strong program. They're gonna be ready come tournament time.
yeah. I mean, they're 10-3 in the
Cal.
conference.
Like Cal's number 26, they fell just outside. So I mean, you have 7 teams in the top 26.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a fun tournament, man.
yeah.
It's gonna be a good one.
What's kind of why they're Louisville's 10-3 in the conference. Sitting fourth. But what did them in is they're out of conference. Like they struggled early.
Hmm.
I'm actually not mad that we got them earlier in the season. They've been
Yep.
on a good little roll here lately. But yeah,
Yep.
I think I think you're gonna have 8, 9. I think you're gonna have 9 teams in the NCAA tournament when it's all said and done. I feel strong about 8. 9's gonna be, it just depends on what Virginia Tech does if they can get some good wins here down the stretch. But
Yeah.
they have a potential to make it. And then that's kind of where it's going to end. But
Hmm.
I'm excited. You have you could potentially face Notre Dame a couple more times. You could probably potentially face a Duke or Carolina again in the ACC tournament. And so those are just more quality wins on neutral courts that are just going to help the resume. Right now, State
Hmm.
sits 18th in the net ranking that came out today, and then we've already talked about it. They just got onto the top 10 at number 10.
Hmm.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun last basically month before the tournament starts.
Yep. Which is funny because you're talking 8 or 9 teams can make it in the women, but in the men, I mean,
4,
what? I was gonna say 3
maybe.
or 4. Yeah, like I'm thinking like 3.
Yeah, I
But I mean, it's funny. I watched a little bit of that UNC Pitt game and how, like,
yeah.
the fact that both these teams are on the bubble. I'm like, UNC's on the bubble. Like, are we
Yeah,
that? That's totally
it's their schedule. That's their schedule.
yeah,
That's their only saving grace. What's
yeah,
and we talked about this last week. I know you weren't on the show, but
yeah.
it's a dang disgrace that Clemson's only 23 in the country.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
it's it's a disgrace.
Yeah.
Um,
No, 100%.
I mean, they're
And I
literally
mean,
beating Carolina by 30
that's
right now.
crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's complete disrespect.
And I get it. The
Complete
ACC
disrespect.
is not that great this year, but man,
They're 19-5. They're taking care of business, man. Like, and they
yeah,
just beat Duke
yeah,
by 6.
yeah,
So, I mean, and like in one of their losses was to Georgia Tech in triple overtime,
yeah.
earlier this week. Like, come
Lost
on.
to Boise State. That's hurting them.
Yeah, but
Um,
still, man. I mean, listen. I mean, Clemson. I got to
they
give a
beat
shout out,
Kentucky.
man.
They beat Kentucky.
I don't know, Greg. I'm telling you, bud. So
It's completely
yeah,
disrespectful.
it
And I'm
disrespectful to
not
say
even
the
a
least.
Clemson fan. I could give 2 craps about Clemson, but like I will wave the flag for 99.9% of the ACC,
Hmm.
and that's horrendous.
Yeah, 100%. So, but let's go ahead and I
Yeah,
guess bite the apple. While we have to. I mean, basically, we're just going to dedicate this whole
You know
piece
what
to.
really grinds my gears?
men's
Oh man,
basketball.
the basketball, and I mean, and I mean, what can you really say? I mean, just it's
Atrocious.
atrocious. But I mean, here's the thing: is that I mean, would you say we're feeling just as bad or worse than we were this time last year, Greg?
Oh,
Kind
it's
of
worse.
remembering back.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I think it's
1,000%
worse.
worse. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because I
not
mean,
even close.
what can we even hang our hat on? That's my thing. Like Marcus Hill, kinda.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
like when you look at, I wish I could find this stat. Someone posted it on Twitter last week. Like Marcus Hill's our leading scorer, and I think he was like in the 3 or 400s for
mhm.
like points per game nationally.
Yeah.
That's just not going to get it done.
No.
And that's no disrespect to him. He's like, honestly, he's exceeded my expectations. And again, I just didn't know anything about him, coming from Bowling Green, like he had some decent numbers, but I honestly didn't know how that was going to translate. And like, if you would have told me you can have Marcus Hill or the field for the leading scorer, I would have taken the field all day, twice on Sunday.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
But again, we drank that Kool-Aid because we thought, and it's still wild. Like this, like these games are so close and competitive. We've only really gotten blown out of like one game, and then we lost to Clemson by 10, but that got away late. It's just mind-boggling how snake bitten this team is.
Well, and all right, here's one thing that really,
You know what really grinds my gears?
and this just doesn't, unfortunately, like, again, yes, Greg, Keith is not on the hot seat right now. I get it.
No,
but was I? I mean, I know I wasn't the only one, but am I the only one on this live stream right now that is absolutely?
Well, it's either you or me.
well, I'm basically saying, are you with me here that in terms of scratching our heads at that last play call there? Like why 3? Why 3?
Yeah. I felt we did settle a little bit.
Yeah.
If it was more of an open look, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I mean, they had their biggest guy out there contesting the 3, and so
Lily falling back. It wasn't even a clean 3.
Yeah. It is head scratching.
Yeah. But what else is new?
I mean, the damn thing rimmed out though. I mean, it was almost halfway down and it just popped out. And so that's the luck this team has had. But to your point, I feel like something, else would have been maybe better suited. Like I know what was the game that Breon took that 3? They literally brought Breon in after having been sitting on the bench for a good while. They did draw up a play for him, and was it the Carolina game? I feel like it was the Carolina game. I feel like it was the Carolina game that happened. But to your point, I think it is head scratching because I feel like this team does not. I know he made like 5 3-pointers in the game.
Well, exactly. That's the one thing I do kind of like about it is that it was Trey Parker who was 5 for 7 at that point in the game for 3. So I get it.
That's the only okay, now I can see that, but it's still like percentage-wise, I think this team shoots like 28% from 3. Like I'm kind of making that number up, but I feel like I'm not too far off on that.
No. I listen, man. I mean, I don't know. Like to me, it's like Michael O'Connell, like how hot he was from 3 in the postseason last year, man. I'm like, Michael, like like come back, man. Like,
I mean, the more you look at it, that team just caught lightning in a bottle.
It really did. No, and
that's what a hot team can do. It's like you like hockey. It's like playing a 7-game series, and the goaltender just gets hot and stops everything. You get a pitcher that just finds a zone and just throwing nasty stuff. Like these things happen in sports. Yeah.
Right.
The rim looks 5 times bigger than it really is for sometimes. And then it just becomes a confidence thing. In sports psychology, the confidence thing is everything. And when you're confident, you just can't be stopped. And I just think, I don't know if it's a confidence issue, but it's definitely frustrating. As a team, we're shooting almost 32%. So I was kind of joking when I said 28%, but I wasn't far off.
No.
And we're shooting 43% as a whole. And both of those stats, so I looked it up last week. I haven't looked it up since the weekend, but we were like dead last or in the bottom 3 in almost every single offensive category. Just not going to win games. She's just not going to win games.
Well, and again, you take away that one Duke game where we were just not missing, man. Like, and it's just going to look even worse, look way worse, actually.
And our rebound margin is -8, which is worse than the ACC. Like those stats are just not going to win you ball games. I don't care. Like you're just not getting it done. I literally sound like a broken record every week talking about this team. And that, look, I love all of those guys on that team. They're still competing. They've not given up. It's just not happening. And every week I'm like, why? How is it not happening? And honestly, if I was Coach Keats and I had to face the media like 2 or 3 times a week, I would be like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. I honestly don't. Like, even if I was there every day and you watch them practice, it whatever it is, it's just not happening. And when the whole job and the objective of the game is to put the ball in the hoop, and you're doing that at 43%, and that you're shooting free throws at 72%, which is absolutely horrible. Like, there's no reason you should be anything less than 75, 76, 77% from free throw line. I'm sorry, there's just not. And then go ahead.
Well, and one guy, honestly, too, like, because you remember about 3 months ago, Greg, when we were having a conversation of does NC State basketball have one of the strongest front courts in the ACC? And right now you have Ben Middlebrooks, who was, one of the highlights of last year's team.
Yeah.
He's 3 for 19 from the field right now over the last 5 games, Greg.
He's got more fouls than points.
From the field. Yeah. Oh, way more. I don't even know how many fouls he's got. Oh, yeah, no, he has. Shoot, he has 12, 17. He has 19.
Mm-hmm.
He has 19 fouls and 3 made baskets. Right now.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
And again, it's not. He's not taking anything off. It's just I don't know why it's not working. And look, let's not kid ourselves. Like, he's having to play a lot more minutes because of Brandon Huntley Hatfield not playing for. I guess it's his shoulder this time. Last week it was his tummy. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I hear things. I don't know what's true and what's not, but if any of it's true, it's not good. And I'm not here to share and spread rumors, but it's
nope. Listen, man, we're literally on a 6-game losing streak right now, and we've lost 8 of our last 9, and our only win was a 1-point win at home against not so great Notre Dame team, but we haven't won, and that was honestly the biggest thing, which is I just couldn't help but just kind of chuckle at, was when I heard them on the TV say that we haven't won a true road game since last year.
Yeah, so the last road game we won was against Clemson last year. Yep, was against Clemson last year, and that was on a last-second shot, if you remember. And
a prayer.
Yeah, and then the next road game is Carolina on the 19th, and at that point it will be 1 year and 2 days since you have won a true road game in the ACC, or any road game, not even ACC, just a road game.
Yep. Nope. It's again, there's literally nothing I can say. Well, at least we have this. There's not one thing I can say. Like, it's just,
and again, like they're still playing hard. It's just not happening. And that's the absurd thing, is we've had so many just close games where you would think the law of averages is going to play out into your favor at one of these points, and it just doesn't. And I know, like, people were complaining about a potential foul at the end. Look, unless it's just blatant and flagrant, I just don't think they're going to blow that whistle. And that, here's the other thing: you're on a road game. Like, you're not even on your home court. Like, you're not even gonna get the home court cooking there. Like, you just can't. And here's the other thing: you can't put it in the hands of a referee to make a call at the end of a game. That's just not gonna happen. Do I think it was a foul? It was close. It was.
Sure.
But here's the other thing that I was curious about. Like, technically, that foul happened after the zeros hit. So. But it was still in the same motion. So I don't even know if you can even technically call it a foul, because if the foul occurs technically after the clock, I don't know. So there could be an argument there.
Good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, listen, like, we could talk about it. We could really break it down. I can pull up the rule book and all that jazz. But guess what? That's the lowest hanging fruit of all time, man. And for this season right now, like, it's just like, listen, like there's no point in really complaining about foul calls right now. It really. This is the first thing from us. So, Michelle, unfortunately, yes.
But we're happy to talk about it again, because that's really the only bright spot at this point.
Well, besides, I mean, we could go. Okay, we don't have to talk about NC State baseball if you don't want to, Greg.
No,
that's fine.
We will talk about them. Hey, softball had a decent weekend. A little tough luck, but I'm sure we'll get there.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get that to actually right now, actually. But I do want to kind of continue this conversation around basketball, men's basketball here for a little bit longer. Got to jump on over to Tweets of the Week, y'all. All right. So first one I want to bring up announcements from Savage Wolves, where we're going to be welcoming back in-state Wolfpack stars from last season with DJ Burns and DJ Horn, who are coming back to Raleigh. We'll be
I wonder if
doing
they
an
can
event.
change their names.
Well, so I'll get to that here in 1 second, but they're going to be at Tobacco Road from 5 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, February 15th, so this weekend, for an exclusive meet and greet. And here's my thing.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't know. Like, am I the only one that kind of found this a little bit interesting? A little bit that they did it with these two guys in the middle of the hardest part of the season.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you kind of get what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not necessarily reading too much into it, but honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, my first reaction was a little bit of ouch. Like, a little bit, just
Yeah.
to bring it back the two stars, be like it's almost like my initial reaction was, well, all right, let's do an NIL event. All right, who can we do from this year's team?
Yeah.
Nope. Hey, let's bring back the DJs from last year. Like, I mean, that was just my initial reaction. I'm not saying that's what it
Yeah.
was. I'm not saying anything
Yeah.
like that, but just that when I first saw this, that was my initial reaction.
I mean, that's a fair reaction. It is interesting that in years past, and I love Savage and One Pack, and so I think this is a business decision, as you hear people say, it's a business decision, because if you have a NIL day event with the current team, I don't know how much excitement that's going to drum up, right? And the whole point of this is to raise money, right? So again,
exactly right.
this is a business decision.
You and me are on the same page, Greg. Yep.
Like,
you get it.
They want to raise the most money. I don't know if this, and let's be fair too, the men do have a game on Saturday. And so,
Sure.
Again, just playing devil's advocate, playing both sides of this. But you're definitely going to raise a lot more money bringing the DJs back.
They could have easily had this event on Sunday, Greg, if they wanted to.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, so we're on the same page here. But either way, I mean, listen, I mean, yes,
again, you do these events to raise money. Like, I just don't know how much, if you bring out the team, like, you have your loyal people, like I probably would go.
Sure.
But the vast majority of people are not going to get excited, right? This gets people excited, and that's the whole point of raising money, is to get people excited to spend their money.
If you were to set the over under, Greg, if you were Vegas and you were set the over under on how many comments will be made to the DJs, or somewhere around, do you have one more year of eligibility?
Right.
Can you change your name? Can you come back? Like, what, over under maybe?
So I would love to see Savage or One Pack do this. If you bring that comment up, you owe us an extra $5.
Yes.
You want to
raise
raise
make
money.
a buttload of money.
You want to raise money,
dude.
It's like, have you ever gone to a dueling piano bar before? Have you ever gone to one of those?
Of course, I love those. They're fun.
They're fun, right? They're fun. Anytime you want to hear Piano Man, it's like it costs you $50 to like play that song, because they're so tired of hearing that song. And so you kind of do the same thing here with the DJs. Hey, do you find it like on the DJs' uniforms, it doesn't say NC State on it?
Well, for NIL guidelines, but yes.
Who do they play for? I don't even know. Like,
yeah, right. They could play for Louisville. They could be playing for Texas Tech. We don't know.
Yeah,
we have no idea.
Speaking of Texas Tech, on a side note, I didn't realize they signed with Adidas. Like, they had signed back with Adidas back in the fall. So I totally had missed that.
Man, listen,
that's
in
the
world,
Patrick Mahomes deal. Like, he's with Adidas, so I'm sure he fostered that deal, and they were with Under Armour anyway. But
I think that makes complete sense. I think that's honestly 1,000% truth, actually. So
anyway, I think it's cool, because I know DJ Horn was playing in Germany just as of a couple of days ago. So I guess either they're ready to go on break, or their season's ending. His parents were over there visiting, getting to see him play in Germany. Which I look, if you're not going to play in the NBA, like, going to play in Europe is the thing, man. Like, the hell with the G League. Like I think they were both, like, they both could have played in the G League. I don't think that would have even been a problem. But I think there's more money. I think it's just better. Like, I feel like they're probably traveling better than the G League. I would be curious to find those types of things out. But yeah, look, go out there and support the NIL. You know,
Yep.
never mind. I'm not going to say what I was thinking. Just go support them. Go support them.
Go support them. Yep. Nope. February 15th, 5 to 6 p.m. at Tobacco Road on Saturday. Go and check them out. And
But even if you don't want to go see them, still go eat, go drink over there, whatever. If you drink, obviously drink responsibly. But
sure.
from 4 to close, all that money goes to NIL. So this is your way of, people say, well, I don't think I get anything from my NIL. Well, here's the thing. You can go have a meal, have a drink, and that money's going to go right to the NIL. So it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And
Which
shout
I mean,
out to Tobacco Road for doing that, by the way.
What that was going to be my exact next comment, which was shouts to Tobacco Road, because that's quite the dedication for sure. So
I mean,
that's
you're
awesome.
probably thinking a couple $1,000s easily on a Saturday night.
Saturday
even
night?
if people aren't even going there for the NIL, that money still counts. How busy is a place on a Saturday night?
Well, especially right now with, I mean, how much basketball, NBA, college, hockey, you name it, is going on
People
Saturdays.
want to go out and watch a game.
Yeah, no, it's packed.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to jump it back slightly here to touch on 2 tweets of the week here for women's basketball. But the one thing I want to bring up, number 8 Kentucky right now for women is down by 9 with 3 seconds left. They're actually about to lose to Ole Miss, unranked Ole Miss. So I mean, there's an opportunity for us to go up at least one spot right there. So, but
gotta go handle business.
Anyway, yeah, just thought that was interesting pulling that up. But let's jump into it. So again, obviously, it's just crazy, Greg. I mean, talking to ourselves 2 months ago, saying, hey, we're going to be ranked, we're going to get knocked out, lose TCU, but then we're going to get ranked in the top 10 again 2 months from now. Said, I mean, I wouldn't be overly shocked, but I'd be like, okay, cool, good to know. But jumping into it,
did we fall out? I'm just trying to remember. Did we fall out of the top 25 at any point?
We did.
Yeah, I thought we might have.
We did, but we worked our way back in.
Yeah, and then what was our highest so far this season? I should know these things.
Probably our preseason ranking, which was number 9.
9
start season.
Yeah.
But then we lost to TCU, lost to South Carolina.
Yep.
And then we got smoked by LSU, and that knocked us out of the top 25.
Yep. So our worst loss is the LSU, even though they're a really good team. But you could argue the really worst loss is the Cal loss.
Totally. Yeah. But I mean, right now, I mean, looking at top 25, I mean, it's one thing that's funny is that we actually jumped TCU, and TCU is number 11, which is kind of goes back to your point, Greg, where it's like, give us TCU now, and it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think so.
Yeah. So huge shout out to women, and again, keep it going. Let's continue to chip away and, make the season another special season. Let's make it happen. And then huge shout out as well to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Wes Moore. We've already sung his praises to start off the show, but hitting 850 career wins in the win against Florida State. Listen, I would love for him to get to 1,000, but I mean, I guess never say never. 5 years,
another 4 or 5 years. Yeah, 4 or 5, depending on
5 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am genuinely curious how much longer he wants to do this for. I think he's got to have some team. He always has good teams, and the last, other than what was it, 2 years ago when we lost in the first round? Did we lose in the first round, like out west?
Yeah, we lost. That was when we had
I blocked her out. I blocked her out. Yeah, she ended up going to Norfolk State.
Diamond Johnson.
Yeah.
But we also had the player who went to transfer to Maryland, Jakia Brown Turner as well.
Yep. And then what's her name went to Illinois. Her dad was a coach.
Camille
Hobby. Yeah. So that was that team that was supposed to take over for the trio.
It was awful.
And so where I was going to go with this is you hope that was a one-off, right? Because you're having the 3-headed, monster with Sanaya, Madison, and why am I blanking? Zaya. Thank you, Zaya James. So how could you forget her? She's even from my old town.
Well, it's funny because I mean, Sanaya, Zaya are so close. So I mean, I get it. So go ahead.
Yeah, but so what I wanted to finish the thought is I hope that doesn't repeat itself with the next generation of players coming in. But I also think that I think Wes learned his lesson on that. But again, they were very veteran oriented ladies, and they just didn't step up. And when you have a program that NC State has right now, you have to keep that momentum, and you have to, like, the standard is the standard, right? Like, almost if I can steal a Coach Thunder term, there's no reason why that should slip. There's just no reason. Like, but there was a lot of drama on that team, and so I think
Totally.
I think they've learned their lesson with that.
Well, here's one thing I want to ask you, because obviously with guys like Roy Williams, with Coach K, basically they got to choose the person who's taking over for them. Do you think Wes Moore will have that right, or do you think he'll just have a lot of say in it?
Yeah, I think, I don't know how women's basketball works like that. You would like to think that he's earned that.
Sure. It
Especially
basically comes down to, what do you think? Do you think Boo will give him that power?
I don't know. I don't know, because if you think about it, that would be the first. Assuming nothing happens between now and then, that would be like the first prolific hire, from the quote unquote revenue sports that he would make. So he may want to put more of his own stamp on that.
Sure, but I mean, again, it's going to be very interesting, because here's another thing too, which is like, it's going to be a move that shakes all of women's college basketball. I mean, I can't think of 10 other head coaching jobs in the country that would be more wanted than NC State.
I agree. Right now I think he's second active out of all coaches, not even just women's coaches. I would say I think Gino is first, but
totally.
Yeah, but
now with the Stanford coach retiring, yes, I think
Vandermeer.
he's got to be number 2.
Yeah. So Michelle, your question about Madison Hayes, the 1,000 career points, are you talking with NC State or in general?
Career. So whole thing.
Yeah.
Whole Shamalanganigong.
She has
can't believe you wouldn't just have that ready, Greg.
I know, right? I know. Give me a second. Keep talking. I have it all here.
Keep talking.
All right. I got it.
But because I think that, you kind of like you were saying, I mean, Wes Moore's definitely had a lot of great coaches that he's worked with over the years. So I think, like, for example, the coach who's right now at Rice, I believe, I can't remember her name, but she was the associate head coach with Wes Moore during the early years. Lindsay something, I'm blanking on her name right now. But I mean, I think she would be, somebody of potential, depending on how much more she does with Rice. I think that, with a school like Rice, and if you're going to, give Wes that opportunity, I think you need to see Rice, be a little bit more in terms of being a competitive asset in women's college basketball. But again, I truly do believe, you think of basically anybody except for the coaches at, the Iowas, the UConns, that whatever that may be, every other coach, I think, would be a potential candidate to take over for Wes Moore. Now, again, we're talking a little bit of ahead of ourselves, but I think that if I were a betting man, I would say 2 or 3 more years. But that's just more of just, I think that for Wes Moore, there's only one thing that's really standing between him and, in terms of that he hasn't accomplished yet. And so I think if he could win a national title, I mean, if I'm Wes Moore, I'm giving him a salute, saying you're an all-time great, one of the greatest coaches and one of the greatest assets in the history of NC State sports, and appreciate you. So but yeah, so Greg, did you find it yet, man?
Yes,
plenty of time, man.
Yes, I did. I was on this site and I was trying to find it.
Yep. Okay.
Michelle, you're not going to believe this. But throughout her entire career, and this includes Mississippi State, she's at 998.
Wow. Okay. So it's going to happen against Miami.
Probably had to happen against Miami.
Probably. Is going to. Yeah, no, take the prop. Over under 2.5 points or 1.5 points for Madison Hayes. It's going to be minus 100,000 probably. So, excited for it. That's going to be huge, especially because, just like Michelle's also saying, Tanaya passed that that mark this season too. So, And Isaiah's already got to be past it, right? Don't worry about looking up.
No, I got it. I
Oh,
got
you
it.
got it. Okay. You
I
got
got
it.
it.
All right.
I think she did though.
Yeah, I would say so. But you never know. I've seen more shocking things. So
Yep.
um
All right, where are we going the last couple minutes here?
yeah, last few minutes. So first of all, like you were saying, Greg, huge shout out to softball. Getting some things going, playing in a tournament this past weekend, down in Florida, I believe.
Yep.
And not really going to take too much stock, in this weekend. Besides, that we were in the win column way more in this tournament than we were in the loss column. Would you love to see that? But again, it's really going to be once the true season starts to get going here, starting this week. Let's see what really starts to kind of unfold here. But I'm telling you all this right now. I'm telling you this. Within the next 3 years, Lindsay Leftwich will have us in the Women's College World Series. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling the shot. That is a bold take. That is a bold take for a program that's never been to the Women's College World Series ever. Hasn't even sniffed it really. But
Yeah.
it's gonna happen in the next 3 years.
If see, here's the if, right? I don't think it's a coaching or a recruiting thing. It's just, will the players develop, right? Because they get ranked, and you get you go, coaches go see the eye test and they fall in love with players, and then sometimes there's things happen, right? So if everything plays out the way that she's hoping it to play out, I don't see a reason why we can't start making some noise. First in the ACC, and then on the national stage. This weekend they went 2-2, beat James Madison twice, which, by the way, is a decent program. I mean, they were in the College World Series just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so you got bombed by Georgia again, but it's a really good SEC program. And then you probably would have liked to have won that UCF game. You lost 3-1. You had some opportunities, but that's probably the only like the true negative of the weekend, is that was the one that you probably would have liked to have won, because again, they're a Power 4 program coming out of the Big 12, and so. But to your point, 2-2. I think you take 2-2. You don't come out of there with a losing record, and I think that's the most important thing with that. And you kind of get your first look. Like, you played some scrimmages in the fall, but not to this level. So you kind of now are figuring out where you're at, and then you're still tweaking things. Like, this early in the season, you're still figuring out who's playing where, you're batting, your lineup, all those things. And I'm confident it'll get all worked out.
Oh, totally. I mean, I you didn't even have the same lineup for any of the 4 games even that were played this weekend. So just like you were saying, So I mean, even though technically, yes, it is a season. Like, I mean, basically, most coaches, and including Leftwich, basically considered it kind of like a preseason tournament, almost, to a sort. So not necessarily saying like throwaway games. They weren't that, because they counted. But it's like, listen, we still got a lot of softball to be played, and let's go. And we have a lot of new faces. So let's, see who's really.
Well, you want to go see your players play against good competition, and players that aren't their own teammates, right? So, like, when you see a pitcher on your team, in practice like 20 times, like, what they're throwing, you know what to sit on, you know what to look for. So it just becomes different. But I think you got what you wanted out of this. Again, without sweeping it and winning it. But I don't think that you're mad about it.
No, not one bit. But I do want to ask you, Greg, what are your thoughts on the plans to move softball field over by the baseball stadium?
So is it happening? Like
2026?
Allegedly.
I mean, it's been talked about for a while.
Been talking about it for a while. Yeah.
Well, I mean, over by the baseball field makes a lot more sense in terms of, from a parking, from a location standpoint. The softball field, being right in the middle of the campus, just was never really ideal, for sure. Especially in terms of opportunities to expand as well, upgrade, things like that. So
you're limited in your footprint. Yeah, your footprint was limited in its current location.
Yeah.
I've been to a few different schools. I'm probably going to make the trip to Pitt this year for baseball, and they kind of have like a little sports complex facility type thing for all of their sports.
Yep.
UVA, I think, again, I think they're top notch. And the way that they have their sports complex, it's right next to John Paul Jones Arena, which is kind of like the crown jewel. And then they have their stadium right there so that they play soccer and lacrosse in that. They have their softball field right there. They have their baseball field right there. And it's all their track is right there. And so it's very well centralized, where state it's kind of scattered, right? To your point. I would love to have a sports complex where, again, take for instance baseball and softball. They usually play on the same days, and there's like an hour difference between the two. I would love to where you could, buy a ticket and then go to both, right, and pop in and
Sure.
out. So if you can start at softball, go do baseball, and then if one of the games are still going on, you can do that, right? Kind of like what you can do with tennis. You can go across the street, with baseball, and so you're going to kind of get that feel. So I'm excited for it in that regard. This is going to sound horrible, and I don't mean it to be. I would love for baseball to get their stuff done in a bigger fashion. Again, this is nothing against softball. I think baseball, again, this is going to sound horrible, and I don't mean it to. I just think that baseball has earned it, if that makes sense. And it's been a long time coming. And that I know they're doing things, but
Right.
This
No,
is
I
gonna
get what
sound
you're
bad.
saying.
This is going to sound bad. Let me finish this point, and then you can definitely have it. We're
Go
kind of
for it.
putting lipstick on a pig with the doke. Like, I
I agree.
think like there's no shade still. There might put some canopies there. Like if you're gonna take baseball serious, you need to have serious facilities. And I'm glad softball's getting that. I think Coach Leftwich is coming in at the right time to get all of that. I just wish baseball would have gotten this treatment 5-10 years ago. Like that, and that's all I'm
Sure.
gonna say. I think both
Yeah.
deserve it, though.
It's definitely an interesting situation because just like you were saying, I mean, now you've been to 2 College World Series in the last 4 years for baseball, sorry. But on the other side, I mean, like, softball, a very young coach, an upgrade that is long overdue,
Sure.
just like baseball,
Yeah.
but also too because I mean, recruiting wise,
Yeah.
top 10 recruiting right now in the country. So I mean, you see like, oh, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when
Yeah.
softball takes
Well,
off.
and I get why they need it, right? Like they got their new locker room, but it's at the damn gym. Like, so they still have to walk
Right.
over. So
Right.
they definitely need that. Don't get me wrong. Like it should all be confined within the same space.
Agreed.
But just for me, it's the timing. That's all.
Agreed. Yeah, no, it's a very, very, very interesting situation. While on one side you have, a coach who's still, putting out top tier talent, but is also too in the later part of his career. While you have one coach who I think also too, because I mean, here's my thing: is that Coach Lindsay Leftwich is a coach that, let's be real. If she has a pretty darn good season this year, she can be getting some calls. And so I think a little bit of it too is kind of investing in, coach, this can be your spot. We got you. So I think that's kind of maybe even that's probably honestly the biggest reason why I kind of like it is just because you're saying we're investing in you, Coach Leftwich.
Yeah.
Like this can be your program.
And I'm glad as long as they follow through, because here's the thing. How long have we been hearing about the Doak renovations? I mean, I know guys that have already come and gone, and that like this should have already happened. To your point, like you want to invest, you're investing in the coach, you're investing in the program, and nothing will probably piss off a coach when they're promised these things and they don't get them. And then why are they leaving? There's no loyalty. Well, you didn't follow through in what you promised them. And so, that was one of the things that you heard about Bronco Mendenhall leaving UVA a couple years ago. Like he was promised all these things and they never came through. So if that happens, I'm really happy. But at the same time, now you've been given the keys to the kingdom. Now you need to go produce.
Absolutely. 100%. So, last thing, we'll spend a couple more minutes here talking about, first of all, baseball. So first of all, it was announced that on opening day, they will recognize the 2024 College World Series team with a special unveiling in the outfield. More than likely will just be an update of the, College World Series appearances from 2 to 3, which is going to be awesome, by the way. But, again, man, like just, it's a great time right now to be an NC State baseball fan. It really is. And especially too because I think this team should prove even more that this team is not 100% or even mostly dependent on Elliot Avent. I don't think as amazing and as legendary as Ellen Avent is, and as great of a baseball coach as he is, that's the thing I love the most about this program is it's not necessarily Elliot Avent being the reason why this has been successful. It's been all the pieces, in terms of, Coach Hart has been a huge piece of this program for sure. And, so that's the thing I love about this the most is that even though, yes, we are much closer to the end of Elliot Avent's career than it is the beginning, it goes back to saying that Elliot Avent has built this program to also be one of the, premier potential, head coaching opportunities in college baseball because there's still so much left that this program could be, like you were saying, Greg. I mean, like facilities wise, we are nowhere even near what the top tier baseball programs have, nowhere near, but yet we're still putting teams in the College World Series. Like, so you're saying, wait, if we had like 90 or even 75% of what these Arkansas, these LSU programs had, like,
Oh,
imagine how much more we could do.
I hate comparing it, but if you look at damn Carolina's facilities, that's a nice facility. Clemson, Duke just invested money into theirs.
Yep.
So, like,
yep.
It
Imagine
can be done.
what we could do. Imagine.
It can be done.
What, and especially right now when you have arguably one, if not the best shortstop in all of baseball that supports the red and white right now. Like that is the ultimate, recruiting step right now. You just call Trey and say, "Hey, I need you to call this guy." Like, he's going to do it, and any recruit in the country is going to go, "Holy crap, Trey Turner is calling me right now." Like that's what I'm saying. Like it is a great time right now to be a NC State baseball fan, man.
Yeah. I just now you got to go win ball games and
win ball games.
You get started. If you saw my screen there, it says Pac-9 starts in less than 90 hours, and I'm excited to be there. I do know, speaking of the banner or whatever, I don't know what it is. So when I say banner, I honestly don't know. But I do know that there's going to be a bunch of guys from last year's team got to be there. So I guess they're going to do something really cool. And if you listen to our Garrett Pennington, he did let it slide that it sounds like they're going to get their rings probably in maybe a pregame ceremony. So I'm really excited for those guys. There's some guys that I know Penny will be there. I think Sam's going to be there. I know Amac's going to be there. Some guys I've already talked to personally that they're going to be there. So I'm looking forward to letting them be together one last time, and then it'll be fun. So hopefully the weather will be good, and go get tickets. There's some tickets still available. I know it's on a Friday. I know it's Valentine's Day. Take your special person, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, partner, whatever. Take them to a baseball game because just remember, roses are red and so's the stitching on a baseball.
It's true. Yep. And I just hope that, the Luke Nixons, the Jacob Dudans, the D-Rocks, that they take that ring and they go, all right, it's time to go get one for the other hand and hand it back and let's go get the business.
Or a championship one, not even just an appearance. Go get that championship one. So
100%.
I would love. We didn't even talk about two things I want to mention before we wrap. So are we close actually, or what do you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. One we didn't talk about when we were talking about women's basketball. Congratulations to Lisa Cunane getting a WNBA contract out in essentially the Golden State Warrior region. I don't know if we had that tweet, but I don't think we did that. So she's signing with the expansion team, the Valkyrie, I think is what their name is.
Valkyrie, yep.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know the state. It might be Golden State. I don't know what they're calling that team, but
that's what it looks like. Yeah,
yeah, it's essentially the Golden State logo. But there's that, and then I forgot the other one. Go ahead, and it'll come to me in a minute.
Well, I mean, I'll touch base on Michelle's comment here about where would you put a baseball stadium? Would you keep it where it is? I mean, basically the plans have already been announced. I mean,
no, for baseball, not softball. She's talking baseball.
Right. Well, I mean.
No, so we were talking about a brand new one. That's what she's saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Where would you put a brand new baseball stadium?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So I have it on good authority that there was a plan presented right after the College World Series that they were talking about putting it, I believe it was near the fairgrounds, and they wanted to keep it on campus, which I understand. Like that makes sense. But to your point, I just don't know where you could get land for a baseball stadium because it's going to take a decent footprint.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of Michelle's comment about wrestling, here's the thing about wrestling is that, I mean, wrestling's priorities are way different than pretty much any other sport in college sports, where really, honestly, one of the biggest recruiting tools, honestly, is the development program,
RTC.
The RTC. See, I kept thinking the ROTC. I'm like, no, that's not it. RTC. Yeah, the Regional Training Center.
Yeah.
And so, really investing in those facilities in terms of developing, but also to bringing in, because basically you have to pay, the top wrestlers in all of wrestling to basically come and train at your facility. So honestly, and for college wrestling, that is honestly the biggest asset you could offer to a high school recruit is the ability to train with the top wrestlers in the country. They honestly don't even really care much about facilities in the most part, but if I can tell you, hey, you're going to be training with a guy who won a gold medal in the Olympics last year, that is going to be by far the biggest recruiting tool for wrestling.
And you have a guy like Ramos at UNC who didn't wrestle at UNC, but he just ended up there because of that very reason that you're speaking of. And so to that point, you have a Ramos that's like, holy cow, this guy's competed in the Olympics. I want to train under him or, go against him or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. So, but also, I mean, they did just get an upgrade with their locker room as well. But yeah, I mean, for wrestling right now, I would say that their focus is not really facility based, more of just invest more in the RTC, that they could continue to take that to another level.
I think they're having their fundraiser soon too, right? That's one thing we haven't talked about.
The casino night. Yep. Nope. That's coming up here soon. So I don't have the details on that, but if you want to go have some fun, some amazing food, some amazing prizes, casino night as well. There's an event that's scheduled, so make sure to go and check that out if you want to go and support in-state wrestling. But here's the thing, like a guy like Trent Hidlay, arguably one of the greatest in-state wrestlers of all time, as much as he is NC State red and white through and through, that, a Penn State could offer him, a really good salary, a really good amount of money to come and compete. And as much as he's red and white through and through, everybody's got a price, and it is honestly a real world scenario where a guy like a Trent Hidlay could be going and competing at and training at another school, just because then that school can offer a lot more money than we could. And that's college wrestling. It's a completely different world from every other sport that's out there right now for college sports. So
to answer her question,
yeah,
in theory, you should be able to do both as long as baseball doesn't go long. Baseball starts at 3, wrestling starts at 7. So that's a 4-hour gap. Baseball should only last about 3 hours. So that gives you about an hour to get over to Reynolds, if everything lines up correctly.
Yep. And Nick Pack, definitely, agree what you're saying in terms of there's definitely 2 different levels of coaches, for right now for basketball, but I don't think anybody really can argue that. But I think that, again, let's finish out the season first. If last year taught us anything, is that focus one season at a time, y'all. Don't throw it out yet. Not saying that that's more likely going to happen with this team, but
I mean, you got to make the ACC tournament. And that's not looking good.
No, it's not. But I mean, definitely once the season's over, we'll talk more then. So last thing I want to bring up, and then we'll wrap it up here, is the Pac-9 opening day sweepstakes. There's some amazing experiences that are being offered through One Pac NIL as a part of the opening day sweepstakes. So make sure to go to the Pac-9 Twitter page and get all the details and, different opportunities that are offered. And it goes towards a great cause. It turns, just like Greg was saying, taking, baseball NIL to closer to a level where it needs to be in order for us to continue to compete at the highest level. So, Greg, any final comments on that before we wrap things up here, bud?
No, there's some decent prizes there. It doesn't cost you a whole lot to get involved in that. So I would definitely recommend, especially these lower, again, it's not the right word, but the lower tier from an NIL perspective. These guys need money. These ladies need money. The different sports, like softball's the same way, golf, like anytime that we can get some of these folks some NIL, they definitely deserve it. So
Agree more. So anyway, with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, we'll wrap things up there. But again, a huge week coming up here for in-state athletics. Again, you got baseball starting up this season. I'm sorry, this weekend. You got a big week coming up here for women's basketball, starting off with Thursday night against Miami at 6 p.m. You still got obviously men's basketball still rolling, but just we'll see what happens against Louisville. Take it one game at a time. And again, Wolfpack Nation, if you haven't already, make sure if you're tuning in with us, make sure to do us a big favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to us, wherever you listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, if you wouldn't mind, do us a big favor, leave a 5-star review. Really appreciate that as well. Greg, any final comments here, man, before we wrap it up?
No, just go get some wins this weekend. We're desperate for wins.
Yep.
I'm just ready for baseball. I know I've said it a bunch of times, but I'm ready for baseball.
Let's do it. And if you haven't already, make sure to go and check out our previews with Garrett Pennington and get ready for this, what should be hopefully another amazing in-state baseball season. But with that being said, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Love y'all, mean it. We appreciate it. We're in this together. Hopefully the end is much better than the beginning of this in-state athletic season here for sure. But as always, y'all, we appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all soon. And go Pack, y'all.